Welcome. It's April 10th. So Dr. Soma, will you read the vision and mission for today?
Yes, our vision is creating a sustainable early learning system that partners with families to ensure that every child is healthy, valued, and successful in school and life. Our mission is to support children's academic and lifelong well-being by directing and supporting the EOEL for an effective, coordinated, high-quality early learning system from prenatal to kindergarten entry.
Okay, announcements. To board members, please reserve all day Thursday, September 11th for an in-person meeting. So right now the agenda is tentatively regarding the new early childhood state plan, which Yuko and her team will also be talking about. The board meeting will be in the afternoon, and in the morning, we're going to have a session around the state plan. So just giving you all a heads up, hopefully everyone could make it. And all board members should have received a reminder from State Ethics Commission to submit your annual financial disclosure by June 2nd. After you've done that, you can let Yuko know or let me know, and we're tracking who has submitted. All voting. Yeah, I wanted to just remind all my board members that all voting and ex officio non-voting members have unique contributions to make to discussions and decisions, and your participation is valued. You know, from whatever unique perspective you have, that is important. So I really appreciate all the board members and observers, and want to make sure that we have that your contributions are honored and valued. Okay, so we'll do roll call. Alana Souza.
Aye.
Kau'i Burgess.
Aye. Aloha.
Hello, Cheryl Kudiamat. Cheryl. No, Cheryl. Somebody let me know if you see her come on. Dr. Soma is here. Dr. Quincy. Ika.
Here. Yes, here.
Thank you. Joey Onishi.
Here.
Mahalo. Stephanie Shipton.
Here.
Okay. And my ex officio members, Dana Luca for DHS.
Here.
Mahalo. Dr. Rochelle Mahoy, DOE.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Phil Busser.
Here.
Thank you. And Napua Rose Hill for Kamehameha Schools. Napua? Not yet. And Stephen Schatz is not able to make it, and Matt Shim is unable to make it. So that's, well, we still have quorum, so thank you, everybody. Okay, so for the minutes, the minutes of the last meeting, mahalo to Tara for taking the minutes, and do we have any corrections or edits? I think you noticed something that you were telling Tara about.
Yeah, I just wanted to check if we had discussed, I wasn't present last meeting, but I noted that we did, or you folks did, discuss HB 429, and I didn't see it in the meeting minutes. So I just wanted to ask that that be reflected in the minutes. If, I mean, someone else can confirm that that's true.
Yes, Tara did check. She did check on the recording, and we did mention it. So thank you so much for catching that. So Tara will insert House Bill 429, and this is the bill for the 50 classrooms over the next biennium for the EOEL classrooms. And she'll insert a short summary about the discussion. Okay, so thank you for catching that, Colleen. Anything else? Anybody else caught? I really appreciate the detailed minutes. I know there are a lot to read, but like for me coming on as new chair, it really helps if I can see what has been happening, and it also really helps me when Yuko and I craft the next month's agenda. It just really helps to have that detail, so I really appreciate it. Hearing no other corrections or edits, can I have a motion to accept the amended minutes with the item about House Bill 429 inserted?
This is Joni. I move to accept.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a second?
This is my second.
Thank you. Any other discussion or questions? Okay, I'm going to go through the voting board members' votes. Okay, Alana.
Aye.
Okay, Kau'i.
Aye.
Cheryl, did Cheryl come in? Okay. Soma,
Aye.
Lindsay,
Aye.
Joni,
Aye.
and Stephanie.
Aye.
Hey, hello. So the minutes are passed with the amendment about House Bill 429. Thank you. Any comments from the public about the minutes? And I to say this at the beginning, public comments are limited to 2 minutes. Okay, not seeing any. Okay. So the next item is a list of bills that I submitted testimony on behalf of the Early Learning Board as of March 31st. So House Bill 300, House Draft 1 is the House Budget Bill, and that includes a request. House Bill 429 is a separate bill that has the same request, but it's also included in House Bill 300. Senate Bill 423, Senate Draft 1, House Draft 2. This is the ELB composition to comply with the Head Start Act, and Jen will provide an update on this in the EOEL report. And then House Bill 429 that we just talked about, that's a budget request. And House Bill 1065 is the housekeeping bill to clean up the language on the special fund. And House Bill 692 is about expanding access to preschool open doors subsidy. And House Bill 549 is about apprenticeships in early childhood programs. So the Early Learning Board, we submitted testimony in support of all of these bills. And for my board members, you can see the testimony on the ELB drive. Any questions from board members? Or comments? Okay. Where are you? Where's my? Okay. Any comments from the public? Or questions? Nothing in the chat? Okay. We'll go.
Elaine,
Yes.
this is Joni. So all of these are moving forward.
All of these, as far as I know, they're still alive at this point. I'm looking at Jen.
Yeah.
Yeah. She'll give us more details,
But
but
that's
yeah,
good.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for asking. Any questions or comments from the public? In the chat. Okay, so let me give it over to Yuko and her staff.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Here's our updates for April. Again, first reporting on the parts of our roadmap. The first portion is addressing the workforce development and support. And Ian virtually coming to us from the pre-K PD session. So Ian, if you'd like to speak to these parts here.
Thank you, Yuko. Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I am here at Windward Community College, where our EOEL pre-K team is running a professional community day. And so we actually have 2 days this week. So today's the first day they're having their professional community days, and we'll also have another day as well tomorrow. But this afternoon, I'd like to share just a little information regarding our ECE stipend program. This has to do with our stipend program completers. I know there was some interest into getting some getting an understanding of what's happening with these completers once they complete the program. Where are they fulfilling their work commitment? And so happy to report that we've had a total number of 35 completers as of this is the information as of fall 2024. And so of the completers, this is the breakdown of where folks are in our early learning system. So we have 2 completers in charter schools, 8 in community-based, so group childcare or preschool programs. I kind of broke out some other different sites specifically. So one of which is the community college children's centers. We have 3 folks there. We do have 1 person serving in DOE special education preschool pre-K program. And then, of course, we do have a number of folks in our EOEL public pre-K classes. So we have 10. We have 2 folks who are working with family community interactive learning programs, FCILs. So we have 2 folks there, 2 in Head Start programs. And then I did want to kind of break out, we do have 3 folks in Kamehameha Schools preschools. And then I do want to say that as of the time of me putting this together, there were still a few folks who had not reported their employment in the early learning system. And so that they're working towards that, and I'm working to support them with that as well. So yeah, this is the breakdown. Definitely, we continue to track this, and as this program continues, we'll have more and more completers who are serving out their work commitments. So it's nice to see that we have a nice distribution across the system so far.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions or comments about Ian's portion?
So appreciate you digging down to get that data. Thank you very much.
Moving on, these next items are going to be addressing all 3 of these pieces. So the workforce, facilities, and funding for the early learning system. And so Jen will talk about some of these highlights.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can everybody hear me okay on Zoom?
Usually the person recording just sits at the table. I think that's it.
That way they can see without. Okay. Okay, so we just so happen to be meeting on the one of the big deadlines of the legislative session, so this is a good opportunity to kind of mark our progress. Today is the second crossover deadline, so it's the last day for any non-originating chamber, for the non-originating chambers to amend and pass bills and return them back to an originating chamber. So a Senate bill, it's the last day for the House to amend that bill and give it back to the House. Okay, so we're nearing, sorry, thank you. Yes, give it back to the Senate, thank you. So we're nearing the end of the legislative session. We're kind of in the final last push. And to give you folks context, right, we started with over 3,000 bills introduced this session. They broke some new records, I think, for better or for worse. And then about 770 bills survived the first crossover deadline. And now it looks like around 475 bills will meet the second crossover deadline. And the pool is getting smaller and smaller. So of these 475-ish bills, some of them were not amended by the non-originating chamber and will go straight to the governor for his consideration. But the fate of most of these bills will be determined by conference committees in the last 2 weeks of April. Okay. And so those are where there's a difference in the language that the House passed and the Senate passed. So they're going to get together in these last 2 weeks in April to work out those differences. So, you know, as I think our board chair talked about a little bit, you know, most of the bills that we have been prioritizing have made it through to this point. The only kind of major exception was the bill introduced by Representative Martin for funding for SCIL programs. That was the only one that has not made it in some way, shape, or form to this point. In the slides, you'll see an update for all the bills that we've been tracking throughout session and giving you folks updates about as at previous board meetings. But there's just a couple of things I wanted to highlight. The first being some really excellent news in that the funding for the expansion of the EOEL pre-K program to add another 50 classrooms over the next 2 years has been included in both the House and Senate drafts of the executive budget bill. So that's actually quite a big deal. It's the best possible situation we could be in at this point in time. And so the possibility of us securing funding for the next 2 years is looking quite good. I'm not ready to quite celebrate yet, but it's looking very promising. We're in an excellent position. So as a result of that, what we will likely see is that House Bill 429, which was another way to get the same money and the same positions, that will likely not see any action during conference, and it is likely to kind of move through in the budget. Okay. But that's a great outcome, and we have many people to thank for this, including the Lieutenant Governor, the Ways and Means and Finance chairs, many advocates, some of whom are in today, and also principals from schools who either are currently hosting EOEL pre-K programs or are looking forward to adding them on in the near future, providing support. So that we have lots of folks to thank. A lot of people have supported this effort throughout the session, and we appreciate that very much. The other bill to highlight is House Bill 1065, which was a kind of housekeeping bill to get rid of that section of statute that isn't necessary anymore, to get rid of the section of the law that talks about the establishment of a special fund that's already been abolished. And so that one was passed out of the Senate with a very clean bill, good language. We're hoping that the House will agree to the Senate draft and it can make its way up to the governor without having to go through conference. And then the last one I wanted to talk about, and this one, maybe if we could advance to the next slide, you can, is the Senate Bill 423, the Early Learning Board Membership Bill. And the board has had a lot of discussion about this bill throughout session, and your guidance and you know, discussions have been the basis upon which we've advocated for the bill and formatted some of our testimony. We had a situation where the Senate put in the exact language that we had asked for, that the board had asked for. A small tweak to the original bill to address another component of the act that wasn't included in the original version. So in the Senate draft 1 on the screen that you see here, the highlighted language, that was the language that the board had talked about and kind of agreed that this is something that we wanted to ask for. And so the Senate very nicely did that for us. When it moved through the House, Representative Thomas, the House Judiciary and Home Affairs Committee, he made an interesting change. And so I wanted to highlight it for the group and get some feedback from the board so that we have, you know, full information and we can get a better sense of what the board's thoughts are about this change as we advocate for the best possible outcome during the conference period. So the board had originally wanted to retain some flexibility or recommended some flexibility. In the SD1, you can see that it kind of gives options, right? It says that if you don't have a voting member who happens to fulfill these requirements as a representative of a local provider of early childhood education and development services, then the board can invite someone as a non-voting member, right? So there's this flexibility. In the House, the HD2, they changed that to make it so that it would actually always mirror our current setup, right? The current membership of our board, in that they didn't change the way that the voting members were chosen or structured, but they added this caveat that of all of the voting members, at all times, at least one voting member must have experience as a local provider of early childhood education and development services. So it takes away the flexibility and it restricts it so that it will always be a voting member. And that's the real substantive difference that I wanted to highlight. We wanted to highlight for the board and get feedback on what the board's thoughts are about this. Is this something that we would prefer? Is it something is undesirable for any reason? And then we can take that in and in that, factor that into the way that we advocate for the best possible outcome. I will pause there and see if
So the first thing I wanted to highlight though is I wanted to thank Jen and because all of these things that we are advocating for are aligned with, you know, the board's legislative priorities and also, you know, the vision of EOEL, which is to ensure that all children have access to high quality early learning development opportunities. And so we can have a time right here for public comment. I'm going to assume that most are going to be about the bills. So I'm going to just back step a sec because this is the question that Jen had right here is number one. First of all, with conversation with the board members, I guess,
yeah,
primarily first open to public comment, but I guess what are people thinking about this change?
I think it's a welcome change. Right now, we do have Cheryl as someone who has experience and is currently administrator in the program. And we just want to make sure that that kind of thing continues. But we're thinking that the flexibility would have more chance, but having it be a voting member, in my opinion, is desirable. So personally, I had no problem with the House Draft 2 version, making it assuring that it is a voting member. But it would be really good to hear other board members' comments.
Aloha, Elaine. This is Solma. I concur with what you said. I think the flexibility of this language, but ensuring that at least one more board member is of local experience as a provider would be bringing in community voice.
Aloha,
Well,
Kami Burgess here. I just want to kako'o what Soma just said, as well as you, Chair. I kako'o that language, or I support that language, excuse me, about a voting member being a local provider of early childhood education. Mahalo.
So can I just clarify that the difference between the two versions of the language is that the HD2 would require that it's always a voting member. Both versions include the representation. It's just the distinction is that one gives flexibility for it to be either a voting or non-voting member. And then the other one is the HD2 restricts it to only being always having to be a voting member.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. I feel more aligned with HD2 in terms of voting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
This is Lindsay. Oh, go
sorry.
ahead.
This is Joni. Do you see a problem with HD2? Yuko and Jean?
Yeah, so we don't necessarily see anything wrong with it. It's just not what the board had proposed at the beginning. And so we just need to check on I guess which is preferred. And we don't have a preference for either one of them because it was a board choice. The language was the board's choice. And so now that it's changed, we're just coming back to check again.
Okay, thank you.
This is Lindsay. I was just going to ask in past versions of the board, has there always been a voting member, and has it been hard to find a voting member who had experience as a early child care provider?
The previous board was made up entirely of people from the early childhood arena in different sectors. So the current voting board membership is very different from what the voting board was before we were all appointed. So I don't think, if your question is about whether there's anybody willing, I think there are people willing to serve in that role.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine so. I agree with what you all have been saying.
I have a question. So in this case of the HD2, are we given the current makeup of the board, would we be under this because I believe Cheryl is an at-large member who is a local provider. So would that fill that requirement?
My understanding is that the current board member would satisfy the requirements of the HD2 language, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board? We'll do two public comments. Sure.
Somebody waiting.
Sorry, I couldn't see, sorry. Okay. I cannot see it right now. Are we doing? Yes, so we are in public comment period right now. I see two people in the chat. So Ka'i, Lenny first and then Terry.
Hi, aloha nui kako. Owo Ko'ulanilaiha with Ahapuna Leo. For those of you that may not be familiar with our work, prior to the rapid expansion of EOEL pre-K, we were the only statewide provider of Hawaiian language medium early learning and education. We've been doing this work for over 40 years, and we're actually the foundation from which the Kaiapuni Immersion DOE program was built upon. I was previously one of the ELB members that was a provider and took the Hawaiian language medium seat. Participated in the development of this roadmap and am familiar with Act 210 and 46. I know these acts were aimed to expand access to early learning programs, and there were concerns for the private sector providers in terms of supplanting programs. Because Punana Leo operates in really small communities with limited resources, I just wanted to call the board's attention to how we're being directly impacted by the rapid expansion. We lost our Punana Leo Ohana site. We were just recently notified officially that our Kumu and all of our Ohana from that program will be moving to the EOEL program that will be opening up next school year. This is a huge concern to me, not just because it's supplanting our program as an early learning provider, but also because of the importance of the integrity of the type of programming we provide, aimed at and geared toward revitalizing Hawaiian language. So I just wanted to urge the board and the EOEL to relook and consider some of the negative impacts that are being realized right now, that are being caused to private providers and also to the revitalization of Olelo Hawaii, because of the objective to open a certain number of sites with a lack of strategy or consideration for currently operating programs and what those programs might be supporting. Mahalo.
I can ask a question. What area is that school?
It's in Hana. That is the first one. So we operate 13 sites currently, in on all different islands. We've experienced a decrease in enrollment when the first public pre-K were opened years ago prior to Act 210. This is the first full site closure that we're experiencing because of a Hawaiian language program that's going to be opening in the same community.
Terry?
Aloha, Terry Locke, UH Manoa College of Education. My question is has to do with, well, let me just say that I'm also a member of Kaulani Lohana, which is a faculty, full-time faculty consortium, UH faculty, as well as Chaminade. And when Governor Ige announced that there was going to be an expansion or we're going to increase the number of pre-kindergarten programs, we actually wrote a letter in 2019 stating that although we really appreciate the expansion of pre-kindergarten or preschool programs, we also wanted to put up some cautions. And so one of the cautions that Kaiulani mentioned is supplanting programs that are already there. And I think this has been brought up again. So I don't know, I guess my question is not just the supplanting, but also the qualifications of teachers and if they're all qualified. I've heard some anecdotal stories from folks in the field that we might not have all qualified teachers in our sites in the EOEL public pre-K. And then also the rapid expansion may not have allowed enough time for the principal leaders to be able to accommodate the children. And then the other of my concern is really the 3-year-olds. How has that rapid expansion with the added 3-year-olds really impacted? Just what are the lessons learned? So I'm wondering whether there's going to be any kind of report about lessons learned and what can we learn from this and how can we improve before we start opening up new programs. So just want to say that is a conversation I've been having with colleagues around the state and would like to just put that in front of the board for your consideration. Mahalo.
Yeah. Do I just address that? Like, I can do that later at another meeting. I will put that on the agenda for another meeting.
Like, what would you to do?
I just.
You want,
It's not like an agenda item, so I think I can just address that at the next agenda.
okay, so Terry, you're asking about, are you talking about the lessons learned piece? Is that what
Yeah, I'm
you're
just
talking
kind of,
about?
so what I'm asking right now is like, so some of these things that were brought up are not necessarily in the item because this portion was talking about bills. That was, and then we're like talking about.
I see
so
what you
I don't
mean.
know
So
if
this
I can-
relates to the 50.
Yes.
Yeah, I
so
see
I
what
don't
you
know if I can talk, can I
Ye-
answer or do I put it on another agenda?
Yeah, I can't. I'm trying to figure out when to bring up issues, but it was brought up. I'm sorry. I brought it up in relation to the new 50 that's coming up, and have we learned lessons about the last group of, the last expansion, and then what we can do going forward for this new expansion.
So I will ask my Attorney General if we can, if Yuko can answer that question as best she can now, or if we need to make it an agenda item for the next meeting. Next meeting. Okay, next meeting, we'll make it an agenda item. And I think what I heard was about lessons learned from including 3-year-olds, and then also impact on small communities.
And qualifications of teachers.
And qualifications of teachers. Okay, we'll put that on the agenda for the next meeting, so thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next portion is funding for the early care and education delivery system. And so, Lane, you wanna speak to this?
So this item is referring to the Department of Human Services is proposing a series of amendments to their preschool open doors administrative rules. That's Hawaii Administrative Rules, Chapter 17-799. Public hearing will take place on April 29, 2025, I believe at 11:00 a.m. in the morning on Microsoft Teams. The rule is available on the Department of Human Services website in their proposed rule amendments sublink on that page. So generally, the rules make some technical changes to clean up some of the old material that is no longer effective or necessary because it did refer back to the old pre 2024 amendments. So they cleaned that up. But the significant part is that the rule itself is expanding the eligibility limit for the program from 300% currently to 500 of the federal poverty guidelines that is going to be reissued or updated each year. And that'll allow families and to allow for presumptive eligibility for domestic violence situations and homelessness for a 2-month period pending complete compliance with the paperwork requirements. So and as it says right at the last bottom, so presently the eligibility limit is 300% of the federal poverty guidelines for this current program year. And if these rule amendments are approved, it will be 500%. So these 2 slides just give you an example of like what the changes are. So it's, you can see the highlighted 300% in blue is, and this is how the guidelines are done on a monthly basis. So it would go from a limit of $9,245 a month to $15,408 a month for a family of 4. So generally how it works is that you look for the appropriate household size, and then so if there's a household of 4, you look for the 4 or 5, all the way up to 4. So these charts go up to family household size of 14. So as you can see, the significant difference of raising it from 300% to 500%. And the next slide will be the yearly gross salary for that same family. So the previous one was broken down by month. The next one is broken down by year. So you can see the difference is 110, approximately 184,000. And this is just giving you an idea of what happened for this particular year. So it's 2024 guidelines. So it has raised from, basically a couple $100s per month. But again, you can see the significant jump in eligibility between 300% and 500%.
Does anybody have any questions about that portion? The next portion is on program quality improvement and maintenance. So Ian, would you like to speak about this, please?
Okay.
Maybe you're
I'm
there.
Yeah, I'm right here. Thank you, Yuko. Yes, I did just want to share an upcoming event. This actually a couple of events this summer. So there will be a couple of different gatherings in regards to quality improvement. First one is titled "Growing Big Ideas for the Way Forward: Continuous Quality Improvement in Early Education." This will feature speaker Ann Douglas. Actually, both events will feature Dr. Ann Douglas, who's with the University of Massachusetts Boston, with the Early Education Leaders Institute. So that event, the first event, is on Saturday, June 21st. It'll be all day. More information is forthcoming. And then the following weekend, Saturday, June 28th, we'll have the Early Educator Leadership Forum. And both of these events will kind of support this discussion around quality improvement within our system. Just wanted to get that on people's calendars if you haven't already heard. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions about Ian's portion? I think we're going to move to some systems updates. And we'd like to introduce 2 new team members as program specialists to our office. You can read about them in these short bios that we have right here for you. We have Heather Barnhill and Allison Hanley. And for those who are in the room, Heather is here with us today. And Allison lives on Hawaii Island. So we're really lucky that we have our second person on Hawaii Island that's a part of our team. But they come with, again, the diversity that actually has our team. With lots of different kinds of experiences and passions and knowledge. And it's really exciting to have them as part of our team. As we work on the creation of our new early childhood state plan, they both will be very involved in that process. So welcome, Heather and Allison. So switching and moving forward to this update of our early childhood state plan. We are currently in the process. You may recognize this visual. You can see their first, the inaugural early childhood state plan it said 2019 to 2024. So we're currently in 25. So it's time to take a look at this again. I wanted to share highlights from our in-person session. So these are pictures and some visuals that were used during our we call it a project launch. And this is March 20th and 21st. And the group that was convened with the addition of the board and of course our facilitators from Wested and our PDGB5 external evaluators was predominantly our PDGB5 grant core team that we used to take a look at when we applied for the grant. So this initial launch was just really trying to look at the project goals, the timelines, just big milestones, roles and responsibilities, taking a look at what exists, some feedback based on what was collected on the process of how the person was created, and other perspectives on things that people wanted to share related to the timeline and the process involvement the first time around. And so this all leads up to what will be happening next. So at that meeting, people identified who should be a part of the steering committee. And so everybody who was here at the meeting offered some names and some suggestions about people who should be a part of the steering committee, and also what should the role of the steering committee be. And the role of the steering committee is to provide strategic oversight, support collaboration and alignment, provide continuing feedback on anything that comes up from the strategic implementation plan groups, review plans, and then of course attend our meetings. And so the strategic implementation plan groups are going to be the people who really refine those focus areas, start to map the existing initiatives, identify leadership, and secure approvals from their necessary departments. So what we wanted to make sure we didn't do was have people directing different government offices to do certain kinds of things, and making sure that their leadership is aware of some of these initiatives that people are speaking about, to establish actionable and measurable goals of the tracking method, monthly meetings and draft plan submissions, and then to incorporate the feedback comes from the steering committee. And so this is a process that we're working on right now. We will have a face-to-face, so the steering committee invitations will be going out tomorrow. And then we will be hosting, looking to host our face meetings starting in May with the big kickoff. And then June, July, and August will be versions 1, 2, and 3 of the strategic implementation plan meeting groups, where they're going to really dig into a lot of these pieces. And then we'll start to have drafts, but every time a strategic implementation plan committee meets, whatever they create will go up to the steering committee and come back down. So we're going to have 3 of those cycles. One of the feedback that came back from the first process was some people said it was really, really long. And so, so knowing that we want to also accomplish this before the end of 2025, we think that that's the best path forward. It's pretty exciting to see how much we could get accomplished in these 2. So these 2 days are basically 2 half days. And there's a lot that could get accomplished. So we think that if we really focus our time and have a tight agenda, then we can really move through the work together. And so that's where we are right now with the early childhood state plan revision. So does anybody have any questions about that portion?
And it is building on the,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
yeah, the current state plan. So,
Yeah, sorry.
you know, that's the reason why we can hope to get it done in a more concentrated period of time, because a lot of work was done on that first state plan. So, yeah.
Yes, thank you for clarifying that. That question actually did come up, like, where are you starting from? And people didn't understand the starting point. So of course, the starting point is what exists currently with our current state plan and strategic implementation plans. And also, if you have not seen it or forgot what it looked like, you can look on our website, or you can contact me or Tara, and we can get you some materials so that you can look at what exists right now. Oh, sorry. Oh, this is the same thing. Sorry. That was relating to it, but it's okay. So Ephraim, are you online?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess the Head Start Collaboration Office, as you guys know, it's been a whirlwind of a time for us right now with the closure of 5 regional offices. So we are still navigating that space and the complexity that's involved there. But I did get to go to Carlsbad and attend with all of our directors from Hawaii, Palau, Northern Marianas, and Guam for some technical assistance. It was very timely, being that it came before the announcements from the Health and Human Services Secretary. So yeah, we're just wanting to make sure that we have you guys' support as we move forward, and we'll keep you guys updated. Some of the things that we participated in during this technical assistance training was we did site visits, got some more information on center and home-based FCCs. We did some trainings on facilities and safe environments with all of our programs, as well as ERC. And also we became a lot more familiar with our new housing cost income adjustment, which allows families to lower their income threshold by subtracting mortgages, rents, utilities, and things of that sort. So that should allow families in need here in Hawaii, knowing our cost of living, much more access to our programs. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them, but that's all for me. Thank you, Yuko.
Ephraim?
Yes.
Just in case people don't know what was announced, can you share what was announced? Regarding this.
Yeah, so what was announced, if I can say in more detail, I guess, 5 regional offices. The way that Head Start works, in case many aren't familiar with it, is we have the Office of Head Start that comes from Washington, D.C. And then we have 12 regional offices. 10 of them actually are utilized by different states to provide assistance, grant assistance, oversight, compliance, accountability, all those types of things. And our programs utilize them to get that information in a timely manner. They also facilitate the renewal grants on a year-to-year basis. So what we're looking forward to see how it plays out is, is this going to affect any of our deadlines, the receiving of funding? When will the grant approvals come through? And a lot of our programs do work on very thin margins. And so any disruptions in that funding could have some negative consequences for us. Yeah, and so right now we only have 5. And if there's any other questions, Yuko, that I'm not hitting or touching on, please follow up. I can try and answer them here.
So thank you. So
Region
regions,
9.
yes. So what part of the announcement was they closed regions 1, 2, 5, 9, and 10. And Hawaii is a part of region 9. So 5 regions that provide support to Head Start programs were closed. And so Ephraim is working with the Head Start Association, the National Head Start Association has been the one that's kind of still keeping people together and communicating until we can find out who will be supporting Hawaii Head Start program grantees. I was on a call with a bunch of people this afternoon talking about federal updates, and some regions are starting to hear from people who might be providing them support. So if any of our Hawaii programmatic programs have been receiving any communication, please feel free to reach out to Ephraim so we can kind of keep track on what's happening at the program level. Does anybody have any questions about Head Start or any of those Lisa's right now? So we're going to move on to health, mental health, and nutrition. So Mikako.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is an update on activities relating to health and nutrition. EOEL will be participating in an initiative called Physical Activity and Nutrition Plan 2030, organized by the Department of Health Physical Activity and Nutrition Branch. The initiative supports the health and well-being of Hawaii residents through increased physical activity and healthy eating. The EOEL will participate in the education sector working group. Ephraim, our Head Start Collaboration Office Director, and Remy and I will be part of that group. Thank you.
Moving on to family support. Terry, you want to talk about this?
I'm Kara Vinci. I'm the communication specialist for EOEL. And so last Saturday, Mikako and I had the pleasure of going over to Kauai for the Kauai Parent Child Fair. It was held at Kukui Grove Center in Kauai. It was a really wonderful afternoon and we had a really great booth where we were able to give out information to parents and meet some other providers and connect with the community and have fun with the kids. So it was great. We tried to up our game a little bit this year and have a more fun booth. So we had some fun giveaways for the kids. But I just wanted to do a quick shout out to Alana because she was part of the planning committee for this. And also for those of you that are on Zoom right now, if you can see, I'm going to hold up this little booklet that she gave. I'm not sure how well that's showing up. But we were really impressed and I wanted to share this with the group because this is the Quiet Parent Child Fair resource book that they put together. And it's just a very small resource guide for parents that has all of the early care and education as well as early intervention resources on Kauai. And it's a great little book that they put together with their PDG funds. I would love to see something like this put together with all the other counties, some kind of brochure like this. But yeah, just want to say thank you for all your hard work with that fair. It was really great. Thanks, Alana.
Thank you, Alana. And we shared it with our LSATs too, that serve Kauai, just so they can tell their principals and maybe other people and their teachers what else exists on Kauai. So thanks for the invite. And then another invite that we were invited to was the Hawaii County coordination with Baby Steps held a workshop for parents and caregivers and families, also with PDGB 5 funds. And they hosted Dr. Lauren Podesky from the Hawaii Department of Education. People who have been to our board meetings may have heard her speak prior. And it was a really excellent conversation with providers and also parents. And she was talking about what is in the KEA, what is it talking about? She talks about the domains and what have you. And then the second portion of her presentation was, what can you do? So what are some things that you can do, whether you're at home or in school or what have you? And it was really exciting. But one thing that was really awesome was as we were leaving, there's a dad. So we were up in Waimea and there's a dad who drove there from Puna. And he said, I heard about this and I wanted to come and see. And then he said, so now I have a few years to help my child. And I know there are about 10 things I can do as soon as I get home. But what was so cool about that was that number one, he drove all the way to Waimea. And then number two, when he said like he has a few years, so you know his child is little and that he invested the time to come and listen to this so that he could think about what are the best things that he can do. And he said, you know, I just want to do it right, which is super awesome. So thank you to Angela and her team for hosting this and also promoting it widely. And they even had a bus that would come from Hilo side and it was just really well put on. So thank you so much for the invitation and for hosting this opportunity for your community. And one more thing about our system updates, so EOL pre-K updates. So right now they're actually wrapping up their professional learning in April. So as Ian shared, they're at a PD session today and also tomorrow. They're conducting their second round of class observations in every single one of our classrooms. They use that for coaching and professional development, the teachers that are in the rooms. And then we're preparing for the opening of the next set of classrooms. They've hosted 2 informational sessions and there are 8 new principals to EOEL. So when people are interested in trying to serve their community, some people are new, like new principals, some want to just add a room because they have a huge wait list. And so that's who's there. They're scheduling those induction and sessions. And then if you look at the applications that have received, so now that we have 3-year-olds, we ask for their intent to re-enroll because it has to stay there for 2 years. But we ask families, would you like to stay or you want to go someplace else? And we have 468 who want to stay, 468 3-year-olds so far who want to stay. We've received 920 online applications and 61 paper applications to date. So just to read that applications opened just a little over a month ago on March 3rd. And so this is where we're sitting right now. And And that's the end, and I forgot to put that slide about public comment. So, does anybody else have questions?
You could. This is Joni. So, was Head Start the only program that was affected by whatever actions are happening at the federal level?
Oh, shucks, sorry.
No, I don't believe so. So, we have a common tracker in state government where we're trying to track impacts to different programs as people are made aware of it. So directly connected to our office because our Head Start Collab Director is the only federal funds that we received directly. That's how we're connected. But the grantees are actually outside of state government, so we're just trying to track them as they report to us. But then you have other related programs in the Department of Education, the Department of Health, Department of Human Services, so they are tracking each of theirs. I am on like a little group now with DOH and DHS, and we try to keep in contact. But we only know what we know, and then we know what we learn about eventually.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, so we're gonna take a 10-minute break, and after the break, we'll have a presentation on family-child interaction learning programs. See you in 10 minutes. On family-child interaction learning programs. And we have representatives from Partners in Development, Kikioka Aina, and In Peace. And so let me go first to. Okay, so I think I'm gonna. Oh, I got it.
Yay.
Okay, so take it away.
Okay, everybody, can everyone hear me? Aloha mai kako o wao shan malia kanaia puni no hukukea mai au no hoa ma kailua. Hana au no ka poe au ma Partners in Development Foundation Honolulu. I'm Sean Kanaia Puni. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Partners in Development Foundation, originally from Pukukea, Oahu, and I live in Kailua. Really happy to be invited here today alongside my counterparts here, our ELB coalition of Native Hawaiian early childhood education organizations. And we've each prepared a few slides for you about our programs, just to share greater awareness about what family-child interaction learning is about, how it impacts our families and keiki, our I also we handed out a back-to-back kind of overview about family-child interaction learnings that all of our programs had a chance to review and share, and it's just more general information. So we'll make sure that those who are on Zoom get a copy of that over email. And then also it has some information about our PIDEA 3 programs that I'll speak a little bit about right today. So our mission, and go to the next slide, is about inspiring and equipping families and communities for success and service. Do that using Native Hawaiian values and practices. The next slide is a little bit about, we are a local community organization. We've been around, this is our 27th year in business, serving and educating keiki. And we've served about 170,000 people in the last, over that time span. Our model is very decentralized. Actually, all of us are quite decentralized. We serve in the communities and hire from the communities where we are providing and delivering programs. So it's also an economic development strategy where we're hiring staff from the communities where we're serving. The next slide is a quick video, I believe. Okay, there. This is, okay, so we run what's called traveling preschools. And they're kind of unique, so we made a little slide about what it takes to run a child in preschool, just so you would have these images in mind. So if you could, it's just stay short. I don't know if you can hear it.
You need to turn this on, Kevin?
Or you might have to share with sound, yeah.
Oops, sorry. Sorry.
Brittany's coming to your rescue. This is why I bring the young.
Yeah.
Because she knows how to do it. This is Brittany Akai, who's our communications specialist.
Oh, I see, I see. So we can unmute it just for all five.
You might have to unshare and share. Oh, they can't share with sound.
With the echo.
Oh, because of the owl.
I think so.
Yeah, we can just watch.
Okay, just
Yeah.
watch.
You get the visual.
And it talks about like what is going into what's happening.
Oh, you can tell us.
Yeah, okay, so we set up, basically, the morning starts by packing up a truck full of preschool, basically materials, stations, literacy, numeracy, science, art, social studies, animal, whatever, and then different themes. And then we drive to the location. It could be under a tent, it could be in a gym, it could be at the boat harbor, on a beach, at a park, and we create the preschool outside. And then the families will come and you can see that there's babies, birth to 5, and they are as we educate the children, they are learning alongside their keiki and as children's first teachers, first educators, being that role, being able to learn and develop, grow, and talk to each other during these programs. And so it's a very kind of holistic educational model. At the end of the day, we pack everything back up again, scrub it all down, especially with COVID, you know, and before, but even more so now. Pack it all up like Tetris in the van. And you need a lot of muscles, and then we drive back to wherever we store the materials and basically unload the trucks for the next day. And then that was one of our graduations from Kapa'alana. So that's the physicality of this work, but it's also a very flexible model that allows us to go to the communities where we serve. This is a little bit about our numbers in the most recent school year, completed school year. And so we have Tutu and Me, which is the model of really revaluing and recentering early education with the benefit of our kupuna, our elders' houses, and allowing them to learn alongside their keiki and then be those educators back in, welcoming them and to be those educators back in, both in the at site and then back home when they return. And this works as a really important strategy because a lot of the families that we serve are low income and multi-generational households. We have a lot of keiki and grandparents living together. So it's a wonderful program, and our kupuna really love it. Napono is the second one in the second column there. They're in Waimanalo, and right now serving, they are one of the EOEL sites actually that just started up in Kailu. And also have 2 different times that they serve at Waimanalo Gym, and really dedicated to serving the Homestead Association families, and then also the community in general. Majority Native Hawaiian families in that program. They've been also operating for about 23 years. Kapa'alana or more, actually, maybe more right now. Kapa'alana is we have 11 sites. Majority of them are on the Waianae Coast where they began, and then we also have a site at Mountain View entry on Hawaii Island, and in Lahaina that was recently started for displaced families after a fire. But what I want to call your attention to is the majority of our young ones are babies. Birth to 3. So there aren't a lot of programs or services for these children, these youngest keiki. So really important that our programs are able to serve the community. And like that one dad that drove a long way to attend that workshop, these are the kinds of people that are seeking out, you know, how do I take care of my babies? And how do I educate them? And not having sometimes the role models in their own family or having the knowledge themselves, or just seeking greater knowledge and networking and social opportunities through this means. What 50% of, I think, what is our average preschool attendance in the state? It's about 50% of 3 and 4-year-olds right now. So there's a large share of families that don't choose brick and mortar preschools. And sometimes the services that we provide, which I'm sure my colleagues here will talk about, those are the ones that they prefer because the whole family can go. Sometimes moms bring 5 babies or grandbabies, and they can all be there and they're learning alongside each other. So it's a really rich, actually our story I'll share, our board of directors last Friday, my whole board, we went out to one of our sites at Kapaalana. And the parents were so excited, the caregivers, they were so excited, the kids couldn't care less, they were just playing and learning, you know, having a grand old time, but the caregivers were so excited to see my board there. They were talking about how, you know, they gave several examples of how impactful the program was for them. One grandma, she's like, I live in the homeless shelter here at Hope, and I just want you to know this program is the lifeline for me. My youngest grandson, when I used to ask him what made him happy, he said nothing. He couldn't even think of a single thing. She said, now that he's been through this program 1.5 years later, when I ask him what makes you happy, he says, my preschool, my friends, my kumu, and so just as a really small example of the powerful impact. So she said, you know, because of that, now that he's going on to kindergarten, I'm going to keep coming and volunteering at this program because of how much it means to us here. And our board was so blown away by the level of, you know, her commitment, and all of the other parents that were asking us, what's going to happen with the federal funds? Is our program going to disappear? Like, they're really worried, and they're asking, how can we help you? You know, so I'm like, share your stories, we'll share them, do the best that we can together. Ka'a is on the right there. That's a child savings account that program that we're able to provide for any of the families, actually in Peace 2 that elect to be part of it, to start a savings account. And so they start off with a seed fund of $1,000, and then they go through the financial literacy workshops that MP provides. And with each milestone, they receive kind of a matched incentive and accumulate savings for their children. And they can have as many babies as they have when they're 5 to participate. So that's a good thing, which you know underscores that we're able to provide a lot of around service through these programs because the whole family's there and many families in a community. The next slide, I'll just run through these real quick. This shows the total number of keiki and caregivers. I think the total is about 6,000 people a year that we reach through different, where, you know, a lot of them are caregivers, and you know, about half of them are children, are babies, and then there's other children that are not Pono site reaches through tutoring services. So the adaptability for FCILs to be able to grow based on the needs of the communities is a really critical aspect of the programming. We can meet, you know, in Waimanalo, we're doing GED programming for the adults and the families. Throughout all of them, we're doing parent education and caregiver education, a lot of cultural programming, which they really love, and asking for more of. So it's a very holistic model, and it keeps on giving. When the child exits the program, because the caregivers have also grown in their capacity, the families are able to keep on being additional advocates for their children, and with successive children in the family. So we have grandparents coming that whose children came and whose grandchildren are coming, and it's a really, and then the best testament, and I think all of us share in this, is when the families come and want to work for us. So we end up hiring a lot of our Makua, who want to be part of the change that they were able to participate in. The next slide, I think there's just, yeah, so, and we've all done research in various ways. I'm sure we can all speak to it, but you see very strong gains in social emotional development. I know that's not a word we use anymore, but basically, you know, how to manage your emotions and be in a classroom, follow instructions, cope when you're angry, all those kinds of things. Healthy parent-child relationships, regular school attendance, actual school attendance greatly improved, school engagement, literacy, math, and science gains. And every year we do complete evaluations of all of our programs, including the family components, the home visit components, and make sure that we're improving as we go along. So continuous improvement is very important to us. The next slide. I think it's the last one. Oh, these are two stories. One is Kala. She's the one who talked about her little grandson who couldn't say why he was happy, but about how she fell in love, not only with the staff, but with the parents and kids, to become a community together. And especially, you know, for the program she's in, which serves a lot of unhoused people or in transitional housing, you know, kind of going through a lot of change, having that strong, cohesive community is really important to them. And then Taylor, who's at Tutu and Me, talks about how it's like one big ohana and a really good community to be a part of because the staff care so much. There's I did want to say that I'm part of the Commit to Keiki steering committee on behalf of our ELB organization. We, in partnership with the EOEL office, Yuko and her team, had drafted a bill to expand the FCIL classrooms and also for a $2.1 million appropriation. I don't know if it's moving forward, maybe it's not right now, but we will come back again and keep trying because we know how powerfully impactful these programs are, and we're just terribly worried about what might happen if they're not here in our communities, especially in the most remote and rural locations. The last slide. Just we can forward out this slide deck to you, and then the very last slide is a good transition to in peace or Keiki Okaaina. It's just a snapshot to tell you that we have all of our programs mapped out. And so if anyone needs to know where, in what community, on what island, all three of us have mapped every single site that we have, and we all run very decentralized, you know, site and community specific programs across the state. So just wanted you to see a picture and give you the live link as well. Any questions? I know I went through a lot really fast, but I wanted to make sure I'm preserving enough time for everyone.
So that, Tutu and Me, you have a schedule for how often you go back to each site, or do you go back every day? Or?
So Tutu and Me is usually 2 days a week. So like a Tuesday, Thursday, 8:30 to 10:30. It's based on the needs and the availability of the families. Kapa'alana is 4 days a week, and it'll go 4 hours at one of the sites. And then like if we're serving at the boat harbor, we kind of streamline them with it. We go 2 days a week and slowly woo the families in to come to the 4 day a week site. So we have programs that meet a range of needs. And the main thing is to establish connection and build pilina relationships with the families so that they begin to trust us and come out, you know, are willing to come out of wherever they're living. Some challenging situations, but to come and join the program. There's a little piece on living social, what is it? KHON that came out, that Commit to Keiki helped produce. So we'll send the link around. We take up too much time, but if we have time after, we can watch it. It's like 2 minutes. Yeah, it's 2 minutes long.
Yeah, I might not be able to get them because.
So, the sound issue, okay, so we'll send it out so we
Yeah.
can watch it. It's really, it's well done.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And then let me go to. Where did it go? Oh, here.
There's more slides. Did you attach your slides in here? Okay, if you
Oh,
keep
there
going,
Okay,
then we'll come to NPs, I think.
okay, there we go. Is that?
One more. This is the Living 808. We don't have to play it now.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. Beautiful.
Okay.
Okay. Aloha ina ya kakopaka hia pau wau no kalewali ka tere te kupa keia no ma ili wai anai a o wau no kaluna o kele papahana o in peace. Aloha, my name is Kalehua Kamoli Kateres. I am born and raised in Maili, Waianae, and I am the In Peace Chief Program Officer. I'm here on behalf of our CEO, Sonoy Marshall. Mahalo nui for having us today. I have really quick slides, penny pictures. Okay, so mahalo nui to Dr. Kanayopuni for that setup because we do Keiki Steps is a family child interaction learning preschool program. We started our first program in 1999 as a makua who endeavored to provide early learning for her child with no opportunities in Nanakuli Valley. Asked the principal if she could just meet under a tree in the parking lot. And that's the inception and the birth of Keiki Steps. We're currently celebrating our 30th anniversary. We have 11 programs. We're funded for 12. We'll be opening our 12th site on Oahu at our new community hub in Nanakuli at Halenana Ikiola. But currently we are operating 11 Keiki Steps sites across 3 islands. During COVID, we, like everyone else, shifted to online virtual programming, and we've maintained that since. So we operate 2 Hawaiian language immersion, full immersion FCIL programs, 1 virtually and 1 at Nanaikapono. And then the rest of our sites are dual language, English, Hawaiian. And then we also have a dual language option. We found that it was critical to maintain our online presence because we started to service Native Hawaiian families who are joining us for programming from Chicago, Utah, Oregon, Washington, and they still continue to do so. When they have opportunities to come to Hawaii, visit Ohana for breaks, they join us in person. And so we've committed to maintaining a virtual programming for the future, for the foreseeable future. We operate 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, and then on Fridays, we have different kinds of family engagement activities, including field trips. But what I really wanted to share is that Keiki Steps is committed to fostering Hawaiian cultural identity in our families using the Kumuhono Maoli framework, and it's the way in which we provide the foundation for both our program and our curriculum. And while we recognize that we service all families who are interested in accessing our services, we feel that everyone is equally responsible for one another and for Hawaii because we choose to call Hawaii our home. So this is just a quick graphic of our framework. And we can go to the next slide. The one, wait, I think we skipped, maybe we're gonna go back a little bit.
Oi, I guess I skipped. Am I going the wrong way?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. I'm gonna like, it's gonna go back a few.
Oh, there we go. Okay. I'm getting there. Okay, wait, now go this side. Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna remember what's on the next slide.
Okay.
There. Oh, and then this is just another graphic, so I like to put, this is just the way that we look at Honua or the environments, looking at the cultural connected centers of the physical body, as well as the 4 aspects of Maoli in which we do basically all of our programming. We do lesson planning, teacher training, recruitment. Everything we do is from that space of nurturing Hawaiian cultural identity. So the foundation of our curriculum really highlights mo'olelo, ka'au, oli, pule, or mele. And so when we start to curriculum plan,
we start with source documents, primary source documents, so largely newspapers, chants, and we build out our curriculum from that space. So what is being shown there is basically a storyboard of our HINA series. We have 10 different HINA across 35 weeks. And this story is about Hina Ikiahi and Hina Ikawai and all of our centers, our parent education pieces, and all of the activities that our keiki are doing with their parents and their kumu are all going to come from the place of Mo'olelo. Me makahana ka ike ka maopopo, we really are wanting to create practitioners. So we consider ourselves a Hawaiian practitioner-based programming. And what we see is that we really need our adults and our kumu and our makua and kupuna to be Hawaiian, nurturing, reviving, participating in Hawaiian cultural practices. And so we start with our teachers and our parents, so we can see people doing piko. We have piko ceremonies that we do annually at all of our offices and in our classrooms. So our teachers will make lei piko with our parents, and then that's a practice that they can carry on to their home. Even the way in which we greet each other, the way we interact with sacred spaces. This is uho humupohaku. We have been training our teachers on uho humupohaku practices for about, keiki steps teachers in particular, for the past 3 years. All of our retreats have been around this practice. And this is the pali at Nu'uwanu, where 25 ancestors was reburied from the battle of Nu'uwanu. And so that is all of our peace programs there, learning, engaging with the space. They learn chants, they learn how to ask permission to collect rocks, and then to actually build pai. So we want to, so makahana ka ike ka maopopo, we recognize that our teachers have to be practitioners in order to impart that on our families and our students, while also integrating the school readiness activities. And next, we can see how we start to put this into practice. So ka'ahele, keiki steps is 4 days a week, 2 days in the classroom, 2 days in what we call wahipana. So classes take place entirely outdoors for 2 days out of the week. And our keiki are there. We're wanting to help hone their kilo skills. And in there, they're able to practice and learn all sorts of skills with their parents. They're counting, they're sorting, they're recognizing weather patterns, they're looking at limu growth. What was really cool about our Hina series is that we had Hina limu kala. And so because we're there 2 days a week for the entire year, our students and families were able to observe the limu growing on the apapa, the limu kala. We had parents who came, picked limu kala, and then use the limu kala as bait to catch kala fish, brought it up, and the keiki were able to experience learning about all the different parts of the fish, just all in practice, hands-on, happening. And so that's really that's a part of our program that is the newest. Our families are learning to see whether this is something that works for them, but for those who actively participate, it is really why they come to our program now. And so it's ka'ahele, we do it on every island. And then this is what our classrooms look like. And so this is the Hina Ikiahi and Hina Ikawai, and so Hina of the water and Hina of the fire. And so we have our keiki learning about condensation, evaporation, precipitation, the water cycle, and kinolo, and then some of the books that we've created to support our curriculum. And I think that's it. That's all we wanted to highlight about our program.
So let me find.
Aloha, Early Learning Board and Early Learning Community. Melody Vega here, Kikioka Aina Family Learning Centers. I think I'm gonna just give a little bit of context real quick about these programs. These are not new programs. These programs have been around since 1988. They're part of the Myron B. Thompson Kamehameha Schools family-based educational model. They originally were called traveling preschool. I am an original traveling preschool teacher a little scary. The programs that are represented here sprouted from that model. If just go one slide forward, no, not forward, backwards. So the Family Learning Center model is a comprehensive community Native Hawaiian family strengthening model, servicing families with children before they're born till they go to kindergarten. So they should have in every community programs that provide visiting, that provide parent education, parent participation, preschool, childcare, all the way through until the child gets to kindergarten. Usually they're affordable, high quality learning environments, but in a family learning center model, the family is always engaged and part of the programs. In a center-based program, there's always that engagement. FOCA's Family Child Interaction Learning Program is called Parent Participation. And all, as you can see, all parent participation programs are implemented usually out in the community, sometimes in a mobile situation where they have to pack things and go in and out. Some places they get to have a classroom and they get to be there all the time. There's sometimes 2 days a week or 4 days a week. It varies, as you can see from the 3 programs here, but again, what remains the same is the family is an integral part of the program or of the model.
You know, I touch one thing and it just goes. 1, 2.
So, for Kekioka'aina, within the last 2 years, one of the things that has been important to us is to create curriculum that can be used with families that work with young children. So over the last 2 years, we developed and published 3 curriculum. An early childhood curriculum, Le'akule Mai, is a typical early educational curriculum with the thematic units and very familiar to preschool people, preschool teachers, staff. Then because Kekioka'aina's programs, you can go to the next slide, are dual language, so they're not immersion programs. You will hear both the Hawaiian and English language spoken for both interaction, for engaging behavior, for learning. Hawaiian language curriculum was also developed, and can go to the next slide, Elaine, called Hi'ile, which is an introduction to Hawaiian language based on what 1 year of being in a preschool, what all the different units or different types of learning will happen throughout the year. So phrases and words and even some conversation. By the end of the year, the children do learn things like how to say their name, where they live, who their mom and dad and grandparents are. So it does incorporate the language, and we hope that people want to learn more when they do. In addition, again, just like especially you heard from NP's idea of being guided by traditional practice and Hawaiian knowledge, ways of understanding. Another curriculum guide was created. Ikena, which is in the next slide, is a guide that helps to incorporate. There's 2 separate ones, 12 weeks and 2 weeks, which is the preschool curriculum year. They, it's a science-based or STEM-based curriculum guide around traditional practice and Hawaiian knowledge. Interactive. So that's really what a family child interaction learning program is. Their interaction takes place between the family, the child, and the staff. And then everybody learns and everybody teaches. So the child is even teaching at the same time, the staff is teaching at the same time, the family is teaching. That's I think the real, where the real success of these programs live is that everybody is learning and teaching from each other. That's the Akulai principle. And these are just some photos also. I think in a nutshell, that's the next slide. We're all about the education of children, the strengthening of families, the enriching of the communities, and the perpetuation of culture. That is the Family Child Interaction Learning Program, the programs that ELEU represents. But and I think that that's the model. The other thing I just wanted to share real briefly about the model, it is a model that will, because it doesn't have to be licensed by the Department of Human Services, the workforce can be grown from that model. So parents that no longer have children, they need to take care of in their home and might be interested in being early childhood educators. Staff that come in with just the training that we provide them, but now want to go on and become preschool teachers in a classroom. That's potential workforce development. So it's been our goal to put those right next to preschool classrooms, or where we can really work with them to try to expand the workforce by using this model. So that's it.
So any questions or comments from the board?
Thank you so much for this beautiful presentation.
Program. We would love to invite you, because sometimes walking it, seeing it, hearing it, feeling it is the best way to, come away knowing what it is.
And there are programs on every island, so we can contact whoever's on our
Do a
island.
whole series. Yeah.
Okay. Did somebody have a question, a comment? Oh, Stephanie.
This is Stephanie. I just wanted to mahalo you folks for all the amazing work that your programs have done and continue to do. I know our family personally, we are a Keikio Ka'aina family, and we're for both my daughter and my son, and it just was such an incredible experience, not just the learning piece, but also the parent-to-parent opportunities, and to be able to experience such joyful learning grounded in culture and place alongside other families was so powerful. So thank you all so much for the programs and the work that you're doing.
Questions? Any other questions?
Aloha.
I had a comment.
Aloha, Kau'i Burgess.
Holly.
I don't have any questions. I just want to also kako'o what was just said. Mahalo nui for the programming for our keiki in the community. Mahalo for just uplifting the importance of learning Olelo Hawaii as well. Learning our values as the host culture of Hawaii, and just expanding it. Thank you for keeping these programs going and just moving forward with all that is happening. With all that's happening, that's all I'm gonna say. But mahalo nui. Aloha.
Somebody had a question or comment?
Comment, just thank you all for presenting. This is, these programs are so important for our community, and it's, I have many family and friends who have participated in each of the programs differently, and such positive feedback from the community. So thank you all. I did have a question, just regarding, because I know these programs are either free or no cost for families to participate in. And I just wanted to, either all of you or if anyone has any thoughts, but in terms of federal funding that is received for this programming, if you've noticed any impacts or anticipate impacts.
Yeah, we're all on the edge of our seats. So far, we can still draw down. No money's been taken away. But we're being told no carryover funds for year 2, and we're not sure about year 3, which most of us are in a year 2 or 3 stage right now. So we're our countermeasures are to collect stories of impact and data, and to share them with the congressional delegates. We're not going to the executive office because I think that would be a waste of time, but to try to, advocate and share the stories, from our families directly to our delegates and their staff, who can then advocate to their best ability. And they've asked so we're working in conjunction with them to do that kind of work. It's a really scary time. We've been through scary times before, but this is kind of this is different. This is definitely could be a very big pivot point, which makes it even more important that we have a good relationship with the Executive Office of Early Learning, and can look at things like expanding, but by 7 classrooms, which is our original goal. Things like that will become even more precious and important as we go forward. So yeah, we're all in it, right? But we're fighters. We're gonna make sure we stay here for our community. We're not gonna go away.
Good.
We just gotta change them.
Yeah.
Thank you for the question.
Thank you. And just if there's any way to inform just on the status, just to make sure everyone's aware, if you hear anything more, just moving forward, just communication. Thank you so much.
Yeah, did you guys want to say anything about the federal funding?
Like I mentioned earlier, the programs have been here since 1980, and there may have been a brief break between the CAS programs and these programs. And of course, things fluctuate every time a new grant cycle happens, but they're not gone yet.
Right. And I remember the original AS programs, and yeah, and I know also when I went to national meetings that it was being shared there, and so a lot of Native American tribes have taken on the model to help perpetuate their language and culture too. So, mahalo for helping to spread it throughout the nation among many Native American tribes too. And yeah, it just hurts what's happening. It's just crazy. Yeah, I did want to ask about the federal funding, so.
Yeah, but we'll definitely share what we learn.
And just to remind the board, EOEL had put into the budget request, how many more classrooms?
We had put in, the board approved us to expand by 4, which is doubling what we have funding for right now. It was not included in the governor's request. And so I was really grateful for Sean and team, and we just kind of helped to consult and talk about that, but they went forward and they introduced that, but of course we're in support of it, but it is not.
Yeah, right now it's not moving. But so we currently, EOEL is funding 4 programs. One of them is yours. Okay. And there are other FCIL programs that are not necessarily Native Hawaiian connected. Okay. So I'm reading the big report on the roadmap. And one of the things it said was that programs like the FCIL, in the 2022 roadmap that was submitted to the legislature, the board then made clear that we need further discussion on the early learning board to figure out how, and need input from FCIL to figure out how we count, and appreciate seeing that percentages of ages, because that really helps EOEL kind of start getting an idea of how many. It's such a viable, valuable option for families that we want to preserve. So the more we can, we need to keep this on our radar. We need to support it. And thank you for keeping us in.
Thank you for the opportunity and for being so flexible with us as you really prepared for this. Elaine was great, Elaine.
I'm sorry, are we out of time?
Public comment.
Oh, public comment, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay, wait, you guys, what if somebody has a question? Anybody from the public have a question or comment? Anything in the chat? I can't tell from here. Nothing. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the reminder. Okay. Next item on the agenda is about the executive director evaluation, and this is one of our the board's tasks, or one of our mandated duties is to provide an evaluation of the executive director. So I'm working with Yuko on a Google form for board members, and this is going to cover July 2024 to June 2025. So I would like board members to be aware of the criteria. So I've included a link. It's on the agenda, also on the slides, to the criteria that were agreed on. The governance committee worked with executive director to agree on the criteria that would be evaluated for this year. So I'm giving you heads up. I don't want people to go, oh, what? I want you to be aware. I want you to know that this is going to be coming up in the next couple of months. And so be thinking about it. And how it's going to work is Yuko is, she has a portfolio, and there's going to be a link to her portfolio, to the different items that are in the criteria, so that you can see what she says, and then you use your experience through board meetings and other interactions with Yuko, and we'll go from there. Anything you want to add, Yuko?
I don't know.
Okay. So we're working on it. Thank you. Any comments or questions from board or the public? Board. Okay, we go on. Okay, so the proposed policy regarding a mixed delivery system. So I've had this on the agenda and started with the guiding principles of the board, started looking at governance and coordination, which in statute we have. And really what I'm going to say at this point is what will help is your questions about each section or the whole thing. Is it like, what are your questions? Because that will help really develop this document. And again, this is where our different perspectives really come in. I think it's really important that we get the very perspectives that are represented on the board from ex officio and voting board members. Is there something that you think is missing? Or a category that is missing? Is a category, do you go, huh? Or, I mean, what are your questions or comments? If I would like to hear now, if anybody has anything, please say something. Be great. For board members. And just to let you know, what I'm looking at is our the 22 report to the legislature on the roadmap. And thinking about also the state plan that is being developed and really wanting us, we are going to be part of overseeing the coordination, collaboration for this, for the state plan. And I think that as the state plan develops, that will kind of help us map out the subcommittees. It might be ad hoc subcommittees, or it might be standing subcommittees, but the state plan will help us really develop the appropriate committees, the committees on the board that are needed to move the state plan forward. So, and I appreciate Yuko has been bringing this up. How do we get the board more involved? And we do have to be involved and engaged. And so this is going to work in concert with state plan, with the roadmap. We have all of this information about previous, all the things that have already been built. So we want to continue to build on that to move everything forward. So anyway, that's my blah, blah, blah for today. So anybody have any comments or questions from the public? I do have the public comment. Public comment. So either board or public, anybody have any?
Elaine, this is Terry. I have a question. Are you thinking of like how using these components and how you would structure possible committees or or work groups or something?
Yeah, I don't know. You're asking me how that would work? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I'm asking because previously, I mean, we did have, like, for instance, I know the Early Learning Board had a workforce development subcommittee, and it was made up of Early Learning Board members and also some community members. So I wasn't quite sure if that was still the case going forward.
It could be. I'm open to everything. So thank you, because not, we have ex-officio members who were on the previous board. I really appreciate hearing how things ran before. And yes, I do envision that any subcommittees could include and should include members of the community, of the larger community, because we do not on the board possess all of the knowledge and you know, manao needed to move things forward. We are going to need everybody's kokua. So I do envision that subcommittees will include community members. The structure of these subcommittees, I think we want to look at the state plan again and then think about this. And you know, this proposed policy is a work in very, 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 very initial draft form. And maybe it isn't needed. I don't know. Maybe once we get the state plan, that is what we work on, and we don't need another plan. I'm in favor of fewer documents that are, or if we have documents, they need to be aligned. So thank you for that question. And I will be tapping you and anybody else who is willing to talk about it to help figure this out. But I think a big part is going to be how we see the state plan develop. Right? I thank you for that. And just to let everybody know, I do know that the Workforce Development Subcommittee created the one policy that we do have as an Early Learning Board. We have a policy on workforce development, thanks to that subcommittee. So, it has, you know, important work has been done, through these committees. So thank you, Terry. Any other questions or comments? Either from, board or public? Nothing in the chat, correct? Oh, you know, I do want to mention something about data systems. And I'm gonna kind of look to Yuko and Jen, because I know that there was a bill that you folks are testifying on about some integrated data. Can you say something about that?
Let me pull it up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't let you, I didn't warn you ahead of time. I was gonna-
We'll just start with a brief explanation.
Yeah, sure.
So, Elaine, the bill is, I think, Senate Bill 742 is the number.
Yes, I do. SB 7.
It creates a working group that gets a lot of different entities and agencies in the state together.
And
to-
EOEL is one of the groups.
Yes, they named the director, so you go as a participant in the working group, which we greatly appreciated. And the working group would be tasked with trying to sort out issues surrounding governance and other types of structural issues relating to sharing data among different state agencies. And it would be guided by the folks at the state ETS, Enterprise Technology Services, which is the state department that's responsible for it's like our big IT department, right? And so they have a chief data officer that just came on, I think, maybe about a year ago. Last year with Kai, and so they're trying, it seems like they're trying to, address some of these issues that are frustrations of many different departments and figure out ways in which departments can work together to share data in ways that still address some of the challenges like privacy and security. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one thing that was really neat was that Lane and I were tracking when Rebecca Kai first was hired on. And we went straight to her and said, hi, can we have a meeting with you? Because we looked at her prior history and she did some work in another state to look at governance structures. And so knowing the challenge of our early childhood integrated data system and just sharing data amongst the early learning field already, we wanted to kind of just pick her brain and see like, how do you think that this can be accomplished in Hawaii? But we maintained a really good relationship with her, and maybe that's why we got named in this opportunity. But we're really excited. And when we look at this, so many like lots and lots of government, different departments and agencies are really excited to try to jump onto this work. And so we're hoping that we.
And that's a positive move, right? It hasn't always been like that. Okay.
Yeah, so it's really exciting. I mean, we were surprised that we got named. We're like, oh, look, it's us, so we didn't ask for that, but we welcome it, and we did partner to figure out how we can work out this data governance piece.
There it is. Okay, so I think we are at this. We review agenda outcomes. Agenda outcomes, the only thing we had to vote on today was minutes, and we had an amendment, and so that was approved. And we had a great presentation from the ELB group and a lot of information from EOEL, and so mahalo to you and the staff. And please keep aware of the ED evaluation criteria. I think that's it. Any announcements from board members? Are there any announcements from members of the public? Okay. Mahalo to Christine Cox. Oh, look, Christina, I'm sorry, I spelled your name wrong. And Lynette for the use of seed. And to Kevin. And today's quote is never be afraid to do what's right, especially if the well-being of a person or animal is at stake. Society's punishments are small compared to the wounds we inflict on our soul when we look the other way. And to me, all the stuff that's happening on the federal level just hurts at a deep level. And I think that we have to keep strong and keep going on. So I'm going to adjourn the meeting, 3:45. Mahalo, everybody. See you next month.
Mahalo.